There's a particular kind of transaction that doesn't feel like a transaction at all. It feels like belonging. When you buy a Bugatti, you're not acquiring transportation. You're purchasing membership in something, a mythology. The idea that you exist at a level where the normal rules of the world, depreciation, practicality, compromise, simply don't apply to you. Bugatti understands this, and they've monetized it in a way that would make a behavioral economist weep with admiration. The repair policy isn't predatory exactly, it's architectural. They've built a system that feels like protection while functioning as capture. Your Chiron gets damaged. Bugatti insists, politely, professionally, with brochures, that only they can restore it to its original specification. The implication being, you wouldn't want anything less, would you? After all, this is a Chiron, and there it is, the trap hidden inside the compliment. Because the customer who would ever question whether a $200,000 repair bill was justified is not the customer who buys a Chiron. That person has already self-selected out. The remaining buyers, the ones Bugatti actually serves, have identity capital tied up in the brand. Pushing back feels like doubting themselves, so they pay. And Bugatti never had to threaten, deceive, or even mislead anyone. They simply designed a product for people whose pride costs more than their insurance premiums. The most elegant grift is the one the victim protects. Bugatti markets the Chiron as a wholly proprietary machine, bespoke engineering, components that exist in no other vehicle on Earth. This claim does not survive parts-level scrutiny. Matt Armstrong's teardown catalogued airbag assemblies from the Audi A3, headlight units from Volkswagen's standard production line, and gearbox components traceable to BMW. These are not bespoke components. They are shared platform parts, available through conventional supply chains, priced by Bugatti at multiples that cannot be justified by manufacturing cost or engineering complexity. The exclusivity narrative is a pricing mechanism. It is not a description of what's in the car. Bugatti's policy of restricting critical component sales to authorized repair networks creates what economists call a tied market. The product sale is bundled, by design, with downstream service revenue. The consumer has no reasonable opt-out. Matt sourced equivalent and in several cases identical components through Volkswagen Group's broader supply chain, legally, efficiently, and at a fraction of Bugatti's quoted prices. The restrictions are not technical, they are commercial. Independent repair is not mechanically impossible on a Chiron. Matt completed repairs that Bugatti's own documentation suggests require factory return. He completed them in a private garage. The safety justification for factory-only repair does not hold under examination. It is a revenue protection policy dressed in engineering language. Every finding has been filmed, time-stamped, published. The evidentiary record of Bugatti's parts sourcing, pricing practices, and repair restrictions is now publicly accessible and independently verifiable. That is the fourth move, and it may be the one with the longest consequences. We're not talking about similar parts. We're talking about the exact same part, pulled off the exact same supplier line, with a different badge glued to the box. That Audi A3 airbag, $200 from any normal supplier. Bugatti's invoice for the identical unit, over $20,000. Not because it's better, not because it's modified, because it has their name on the paperwork. And this wasn't a one-off discovery. Matt found the same pattern running through the entire car. Window motors, sensors, electrical components. The Chiron is, at its core, a Volkswagen Group vehicle wearing a $3 million costume. Every shared component marked up to a price that only makes sense if the customer never finds out where it actually came from. But here's where Bugatti's operation moves from opportunistic to calculated. They didn't just mark up the parts, they locked the doors behind them. Supplier agreements, quietly negotiated, that prevent any third party from purchasing these components outside of Bugatti's authorized channel. You cannot call an Audi dealer and order that airbag for your Chiron. The legal architecture around what are essentially mass-market parts makes that transaction impossible. Bugatti built a wall around ordinary components and convinced the world the wall was there to protect you. So when your Chiron needs repair, there is no market. There is no competition. There is one price from one source, and your only alternative is a car that doesn't move. That was the trap. Elegant, legal, invisible to anyone who didn't look inside the actual vehicle. Matt looked, and then he filmed it. But exposing the parts racket was only the first move. Because what Bugatti never modeled in their strategy was the possibility that the person holding the crashed Chiron wouldn't blink. Every other time this situation had played out, the pattern was the same. The buyer sees the salvage title. The buyer gets the repair quote, $1.7 million in Matt's case. The buyer either scraps the car or pays. Those were the only two exits Bugatti had ever seen anyone take. Matt built a third one. He started by finding the people Bugatti had discarded. Independent hypercar technicians, mechanics who had worked inside the official Bugatti network, who knew these cars at a molecular level and who had walked away because they couldn't reconcile what they knew about the parts with what they were being asked to charge for them. These weren't outsiders guessing at the engineering. These were insiders who'd left on principle. Then Matt went to work on the supply chain itself. European salvage yards, private collectors sitting on donor cars, specialty importers operating outside the reach of Bugatti's supplier agreements. Channels that existed not because someone built them for this purpose, but because Matt was determined enough to find them. Bugatti had spent years making independent repair look impossible. Matt spent months proving it was just inconvenient. When Bugatti refused to sell him gearbox components, Matt didn't stop. He traced the Chiron's gearbox architecture back to its origin and found what he was looking for in Porsche's PDK system, the same fundamental platform the Chiron's transmission is built upon. When body panels were blocked through official channels, he located them through private transactions between Chiron owners who'd moved on to newer configurations. When Bugatti described crash sensors as proprietary and safety-critical components unavailable outside their network, Matt found functionally identical units inside BMW's parts catalog at a price that made Bugatti's figure look like a deliberate fiction. And then he did something that dismantled Bugatti's most defensible argument entirely. He brought in independent engineers, not enthusiasts, not YouTubers. Credentialed professionals who examined every repair, ran safety protocols, stress-tested components, and produced documentation showing that a Chiron rebuilt outside Bugatti's facility, using parts sourced outside Bugatti's network, could meet factory specifications. The safety justification that had underpinned Bugatti's repair monopoly for years didn't survive contact with actual engineering scrutiny. That finding alone would have been significant. But Matt was building towards something larger. The airbag system replacement that Bugatti quoted at $100,000 became a $2,000 job once Matt sourced the Audi A3 units directly, reprogrammed the crash sensors, and installed them to identical safety and deployment specifications. Same rating, same performance, 1/50th of the price. The bell housing, a critical structural connector between engine and gearbox, carried an $80,000 Bugatti quote attached to a mandatory full gearbox assembly purchase. Matt 3D scanned the damaged component, commissioned aerospace-grade fabricators, and had a replacement manufactured to exact specification for $8,000. He published the material certifications. He showed the stress test results. He demonstrated on camera that the fabricated component met or exceeded Bugatti's own engineering standards.